The message reached Earth like a cry from a graveyard of stars. A broken transmission, weak and full of static, carried only 5 words before it faded into the void. "Help us, please, they're coming." The signal came from the Perseus Rim, a part of space long believed to be empty. No colonies, no ships, no trade, only ruins of alien civilizations and dust. At the United Terran Command Center in Seoul, the message repeated over and over. Every time it played, silence filled the room. Lieutenant Park Ji-won stared at the holographic display, the signal pattern flickering before him. His voice was calm, but his hands were tight. "It's not human," he said, "but it's directed toward us." Beside him, Commander Lee Ha-rin studied the waveform, her dark eyes sharp and unreadable. "It's an SOS," she said quietly. "Translated through automated distress code. Whoever sent it knew Earth would listen." For centuries, humanity had been called Deathworlders by the galactic community. The name was a curse and a warning. Earth was a planet that tried to kill everything that lived on it. Its storms, diseases, and predators made humans hard and resilient. Other species called them reckless, savage, even insane. But when something needed saving, when monsters came out of the dark, everyone turned to the Deathworlders. The Council had banned Earth's fleets from their peaceful zones after the Orion War. They said humans were too destructive, too violent. But now someone out there was desperate enough to call them again. The room buzzed with whispers. The transmission was traced to a small moon orbiting a dying planet in the Perseus Rim. No known colonies, no trade beacons, nothing. Only that single cry for help. General Han Gyan-soo entered the command center, his heavy boots echoing. The soldiers straightened instantly. He had fought through 3 interstellar wars and was known for his iron will. "Whoever sent that signal," he said slowly, "did not send it by mistake. Prepare Task Force Hephaestus. We move at dawn." Across the fleet yards of Lunar Base, ships woke from slumber. Engines roared to life as engineers and soldiers rushed to their posts. The Hwarang, a heavy cruiser, stood ready at the center of the formation. Its captain, Kim Do-hyun, watched the launch sequence through the observation deck. The stars reflected in his eyes like distant fire. Do-hyun had fought against the Drakari, the insectoid empire that once consumed whole systems. He had seen planets burn and oceans boil. He thought he had seen everything. But something about this message unsettled him. "It's too quiet," he said to his first officer, Lieutenant Choi Nari. "No follow-up signals, no coordinates, no life signs. Only that voice." Nari checked the data again. "Sir, it could be a trap. A lure from pirates or a remnant AI. The rim is full of ghosts." "Maybe," he said, "but someone out there called for help, and we answer." When the fleet left orbit, Earth looked small and blue behind them. Thousands watched from the surface, knowing the Deathworlders were going back into the void again. Not for conquest, but for rescue. 3 days into the journey, strange readings began to appear. A field of broken satellites, shattered hulls, and burned stations surrounded the last known source of the distress call. The debris was old, hundreds of years, but some pieces looked fresh, recent battle scars. Inside the command bridge, the crew was tense. Ji-won's voice came through the comms from the recon ship Soryang. "General, we're picking up something faint. Power signatures underground. I think there are survivors." "Deploy ground team," General Han ordered. "I want eyes down there." Captain Do-hyun led the team himself. He put on his armored exosuit, the heavy black plating humming as it sealed around him, his pulse rifle locked to his side. Beside him, Nari and Ji-won checked their gear. The ramp lowered and cold alien air swept in. The surface was gray and dead, the ruins of strange architecture stretching in every direction. The ground team moved carefully. Drones scanned the area, mapping tunnels beneath the surface. They found scorch marks, melted stone, and what looked like claws the size of swords. Whatever had attacked this place was not human. A voice crackled through the comms. "Reading life signs below, 10, maybe more. Weak but stable." They followed the signal into a collapsed structure. It smelled of dust and metal. In the center of a broken chamber, they found them. Thin, pale beings with long limbs and dark eyes hiding behind shattered machines. They looked terrified. One of them raised its trembling hand. "Are you from Earth?" it asked. Do-hyun nodded slowly. "Yes, you sent the SOS." The alien nodded weakly. We didn't think you'd come. The council said humans never return." "What happened here?" Do-hyun asked. The alien shivered. They came from the dark between galaxies. Machines that eat stars. They call themselves the Hollow Swarm. They destroyed our fleets, our home. We sent a signal to anyone, but only you answered. Nari whispered, "Machines that eat stars?" The alien's black eyes glowed faintly. "They are coming back, soon." Before Do-hyun could respond, the scanners began to scream. From orbit, Ji-won's voice shouted, "Multiple contacts incoming. They're coming out of the void, hundreds of them." Outside, the sky turned red. A storm of metallic shapes fell from the clouds like burning meteors. The Deathworlders lifted their rifles, forming a perimeter around the survivors. Do-hyun's voice was calm. "Get them to the ship. We'll hold them here." General Han's voice thundered through the comm. "All units, defensive line. Show them what Deathworlders do when someone calls for help." The ground shook as the first of the machines landed. Towering spires of metal with glowing cores moving like liquid steel. Energy blasts tore through the ruins. Do-hyun fired back, the air exploding with light. For the first time in centuries, Earth soldiers stood on alien soil again. Not as conquerors, but as saviors. They had come because someone called for help. And they would not leave until the job was done, Nari shouted as debris rained down. "Captain, we can't hold for long." "Then we make them bleed until the evac is complete," he said. His rifle burned hot in his hands.
"They asked for help and we came. The sky blazed with fire and the Deathworlders fought like gods of war."
The machines fell one after another, torn apart by sheer will and fury. Humanity had returned to the stars, and the galaxy would soon remember what it meant when Earth answered an SOS. The air was thick with smoke and the smell of burning metal. Do-hyun and his team had managed to secure the survivors, but the ground around them was littered with twisted pieces of alien machinery. Every step they took sent echoes through the ruined halls of the city, warning them that the Hollow Swarm was not finished. Nari scanned the horizon with her visor. Hundreds of shapes moved in the distance, silent but deadly. "They're regrouping," she whispered, "and they're faster than before." Ji-won's voice came through the comm. "Captain, the evac shuttles are in position, but they can't make multiple trips. We need a plan to hold them long enough for everyone to escape." Do-hyun took a deep breath, feeling the weight of command pressing down on him. "We fight until the last shuttle leaves. Nothing else matters." The survivors were small, fragile-looking creatures with pale, almost translucent skin. They huddled together, trembling, their long limbs curling tightly under their thin cloaks. One of them, a female with eyes like dark pools, stepped forward. "We can help," she said softly. "We know the tunnels, the traps. We know how they think." Do-hyun studied her. "Then you lead. Show us where to put our defenses." Her name was Hana, and she guided the humans into an old substructure beneath the city. It was narrow, winding and full of collapsed walls, but it offered the perfect choke points. As they set up explosives and barricades, the survivors whispered instructions, warning them where the Hollow Swarm would strike first. Gyeonsu's voice cut through the comms. "Captain, fleet overhead is engaging the first wave. They won't hold them long. You must buy time." Do-hyun nodded. "Understood." He turned to his squad. "Remember, we are Deathworlders. We don't run. We don't hide. We kill." The first of the machines broke through the ruins, massive and shimmering with alien energy. Its limbs tore through walls as if they were paper. Explosions rocked the tunnels and dust filled every corner. But the humans did not falter. Nari fired her pulse rifle, striking one of the machines in its core. Sparks flew as it screamed, a high-pitched mechanical shriek that echoed through the tunnels. Do-hyun swung a heavy kinetic blade, cutting through another before it could reach the survivors. The pale aliens watched in awe and fear as the humans moved like a single, unstoppable force. Hana led them deeper into the tunnels. "Here," she cried. "They cannot follow. The walls are unstable. Collapse will slow them." Do-hyun ordered his men to plant charges at critical points. Every click of the detonator, every blast of energy from the humans' weapons was a message. Earth had come and it would not leave without a fight. Above ground, the fleet struggled. Smaller craft darted around the swarm's metallic tendrils, their weapons flaring like fireworks. Ji-won coordinated strikes using Earth's superior tactics to split and confuse the enemy. Even so, the Hollow Swarm was relentless. Machines that had survived the first wave now attacked with increased ferocity. Back in the tunnels, one of the survivors gasped. "They're learning." Hana's eyes were wide with fear. Every time they fall, the others change. They adapt. Do-hyun clenched his jaw. Then we adapt faster. Use your knowledge. Tell us their weaknesses. Hana led them to a chamber filled with strange symbols etched into the walls. These are traps, she explained. If you lure them here, they cannot move freely. They crush themselves if they step wrong. The humans set their plan. Barricades were positioned, explosives placed at the right angles, and every survivor moved to safety. Do-hyun and Nari stayed at the front, waiting. The hollow swarm returned, their shapes almost liquid, their cores glowing like stars. They entered the chamber and immediately fell into the traps. Machines toppled over, collided, and broke apart under their own weight. Earth's soldiers fired relentlessly, cutting down the remnants. But the victory was temporary. More machines poured in from the ruined city above. Ji-won's voice was urgent. "Captain, more incoming. You need to fall back or you'll be surrounded." Do-hyun shook his head. "Not yet. Hold the line. The shuttles are almost ready." Explosions rocked the chamber and dust filled every corner. Do-hyun felt the heat on his face but did not retreat. His pulse rifle burned and every shot was precise. Nari moved beside him, covering his blind spots, their movements perfectly synchronized. Suddenly, the ground trembled. The walls cracked. A massive machine, larger than any they had faced, descended from above. Its core pulsed like a dying sun, and its limbs spread out, crushing everything in their path. Hana screamed. "It's the Overlord!" The humans froze for a brief moment. This was no ordinary machine. It was a leader, a command unit. If it survived, every battle would be harder. Do-hyun did not hesitate. "We take it down now." The team split. Nari fired at weak points while Ji-won hacked into the local network, attempting to disrupt its coordination. Do-hyun leapt onto its limb with his kinetic blade, slicing through armor plating and sparks flying everywhere. The machine roared, shaking the ground violently. Hana guided the survivors to a safer tunnel. "Go, get to the shuttles!" Do-hyun kept fighting, refusing to fall back. The Overlord's strength was immense, but humans were unpredictable. Every strike, every maneuver seemed impossible to anticipate. Machines fell one by one until the Overlord staggered, its glowing core flickering. Ji-won shouted, "Captain, now set the charges." Do-hyun triggered the explosives on its legs and the Overlord crashed to the ground, a storm of sparks and molten metal exploding in every direction. The tunnel shook violently, debris falling around them. But the humans were alive. The survivors cheered, tears streaking their pale faces. Outside, the shuttles arrived, hovering amid the smoke and ruins. Do-hyun and his team guided the survivors onto the craft. One by one, they boarded, leaving the destroyed city behind. As the last shuttle lifted off, Do-hyun looked back at the battlefield. The hollow swarm had been beaten back, but he knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Nari touched his arm. "We did it. For now." Do-hyun nodded. "We came to help. That is what Deathworlders do. And next time, they will remember not to underestimate us." The shuttles rose into orbit, leaving behind the smoldering ruins. Earth's soldiers had saved lives again, and the legend of the Deathworlders grew stronger with every fight. But the Overlord had been only one of many. Somewhere in the dark, the rest of the hollow swarm waited, learning, watching, and preparing for the next battle. And humanity would be ready. The shuttles emerged from the gray haze of the destroyed city and headed toward the orbiting fleet. Survivors clung to one another, pale faces streaked with dust and tears, their small bodies trembling from exhaustion and fear. Do-hyun stood on the shuttle deck, looking back at the ruins below, the weight of command heavy on his shoulders. They had won the battle, but the war had only just begun. Ji-won's voice crackled through the comm. "Captain, fleet sensors show multiple energy spikes across the sector. The hollow swarm is regrouping. They are reorganizing after the losses." Do-hyun clenched his fists. "Good, let them regroup. We'll be ready." Nari adjusted her visor and scanned the survivors. "Captain, they are weak. Many of them will not survive long in space. We need to stabilize them before the journey back." Hana stepped forward. "We can help. We know how to care for them. Our people have techniques for survival in harsh environments. Let us teach you." Do-hyun nodded. "Do it, everyone has a role. Keep them alive until we reach the fleet." Inside the medical bay of the Warang, the humans worked quickly. The survivors were fragile, their skin nearly translucent, their limbs thin as reeds. But under human care, with careful feeding, oxygen support, and gentle touches, they began to regain strength. Hana watched closely, nodding as Earth soldiers worked with skill and precision. "You are strong," she whispered. "Stronger than we could imagine." Meanwhile, outside the fleet, the hollow swarm moved like a dark cloud. The machines reassembled, larger and more coordinated. Hundreds of vessels, each controlled by an unseen intelligence, swept through the sector. Their glowing cores pulsed like stars, a sign of both life and hunger. General Guyansu's voice cut through the calm. "All ships form defensive formations. The swarm is adapting. They will attack in waves. Maintain perimeter and protect the survivors." Captain Do-hyun moved to the command bridge. "Ji-won, scan for weaknesses. We need to find a way to disrupt their coordination. If they control each other like one mind, we cut the head and the body will collapse." Ji-won studied the data. Their cores are linked by energy resonance. If we can overload one core, it may cause a chain reaction. But it will be risky. The first strike might destroy our sensors. "Then we take the risk," Do-hyun said. "We always do," Nari joined him. "Captain, our weapons may not be enough. Even with coordinated fire, these machines regenerate quickly. We need more than brute force," Do-hyun nodded. "We always have more than brute force. We have strategy and we have willpower. And right now we have something they don't: human unpredictability." The fleet moved into position, the ships forming a semicircle around the survivors. The smaller craft darted forward, firing bursts of energy to distract the swarm, while the heavier cruisers positioned their long-range cannons. In the chaos, Do-hyun and his team boarded a specialized assault craft, a fast and heavily armed ship capable of approaching the swarm's core. "This is our chance," he said. "We go in, we hit the central nodes, and we disrupt them." Hana watched silently. "Be careful. The swarm adapts quickly. Every move they see, they counter." Do-hyun's hands gripped the controls. "Then we move faster than they can see." The assault craft pierced the outer layer of the swarm's formation. Metallic arms lashed at the ship, trying to crush it. But Do-hyun maneuvered with precision. The craft's energy shields flared under impact, sparks showering the viewport. Ji-won's voice guided them. "Target the left node. Core linkage is weakest there. Focus fire!" Nari fired the ship's pulse cannons. The swarm shrieked in mechanical agony as the first node cracked, glowing cores sparking violently. "It's working," Ji-won shouted, but the swarm reacted instantly. Dozens of machines swerved, attempting to intercept the craft. Explosions rocked the hull. The ship shuddered under the force and alarms blared. Do-hyun's voice was steady. "Keep firing. Don't let them recover." Inside the swarm, something shifted. The core energy pulsed erratically, as if the machines were confused. One by one, smaller machines faltered and crashed into each other. The humans had disrupted their link, breaking the synchronization that made them deadly. The fleet saw the change immediately. Energy blasts from the swarm slowed, their movements uncoordinated, and the human forces pressed forward. Do-hyun's assault craft dodged another strike and hit the second node. Sparks exploded across the alien metal, and for the first time the swarm seemed vulnerable. Hana looked at Do-hyun, her eyes wide. You can destroy them?" He did not answer. His focus was absolute. Every shot, every maneuver, every pulse of energy from the ship was calculated to cause maximum disruption. The swarm was powerful, but they had underestimated humans' courage and intelligence. Nari shouted over the alarms. "Captain, we're taking heavy damage." Do-hyun's jaw tightened. "Then we finish this now. Target the final node." The final node glowed like a dying star. The ship's cannons unleashed a concentrated volley. The swarm's energy link shattered. Sparks, flames, and molten metal filled the space as machines collided, exploding one after another. The once feared fleet of mechanical monsters was falling apart. From the shuttle decks, the survivors watched in awe. They had called for help and humans had come. Not just to fight, but to win. Anna's small hand shook as she whispered, "I did not believe your stories. But now I see. You are different, strong, unstoppable." Do-hyun guided the ship away from the collapsing swarm. "Fleet, regroup. We need to secure survivors and assess damages." Ji-won's voice was relieved but tired. "Captain, sensors show most of the swarm is destroyed. Only fragments remain. Casualties minimal on our side. Mission success." Do-hyun exhaled, the tension leaving him slowly. "Good, but this is not the end. We have only delayed them. They will return. And we must be ready." Hana approached him. You are truly Deathworlders. The galaxy will fear you now, but they will also respect you. Du-Yun nodded. We fight to protect, not to dominate. That is what makes us strong. The survivors were loaded onto transport ships. They looked at their saviors with gratitude, and for the first time in their lives, they felt hope. Humanity had answered their SOS, and they had shown the galaxy why Earth's soldiers were called Deathworlders. As the fleet began its journey back to safe space, Du-Hyun gazed out at the stars. Somewhere out there, more dangers awaited. But Earth's warriors were ready. They had faced the impossible and prevailed. And next time, no one would doubt the strength of the Deathworlders. The fleet traveled through quiet space, the survivors finally resting after the chaos of battle. Du-Hyun walked along the observation deck of the Hwarang, watching distant stars glitter like scattered diamonds. The victory had been decisive, but he knew the hollow swarm was far from finished. Something in their adaptive systems told him they had learned from every encounter, and the next one would be worse. Nari approached, her brow furrowed. Captain, we've received reports from the survivors. They say the swarm has spread beyond this system. Entire colonies have been destroyed. There may be more SOS signals we haven't detected yet. Du-Hyun clenched his fists. Then we will go. No one will face them alone. Earth does not ignore cries for help. Hana and the other survivors watched in awe as humans prepared for what seemed impossible. Hana spoke softly to Do-Hyun. You do not rest. Even after victory, you plan the next battle. That is the way of the Deathworlders, he said quietly. Victory is temporary. Survival depends on preparation and strength comes from willpower. Back in the fleet's command room, General Gyeonsu and Ji-won studied star charts. If the swarm has spread this far, Ji-won said, then entire sectors are at risk. Their numbers are regenerating. We have to act fast before they regroup completely. Gyeonsu nodded. We strike before they strike again. The survivors from this system will guide us. We know the terrain, the tactics. That will give us the edge. Hana and the other aliens were brought to the strategy room. Their pale forms stood in contrast to the heavy black armor of Earth's soldiers. Despite fear in their eyes, they shared vital information about swarm behavior, weaknesses, and hunting patterns. The humans listened carefully, absorbing every detail. Du-Hyun studied the data. We cannot just defend. We have to take the fight to them. We hit hard, fast, and without mercy. Every system they touch, we liberate. Every survivor we find, we protect. Nari frowned. Captain, are you sure? This will stretch our fleet. We risk too many ships in open space against the swarm. They are adaptive, intelligent, and relentless. Du-Hyun's voice was firm. If we wait, entire civilizations die. We act, we fight, we save. That is what Earth sent us to do. That is what humans do. The first strike team was assembled. Do-Hyun, Nari, Ji-won, and several elite soldiers would board the fastest ships and attack the nearest system under swarm control. Hana and the survivors would accompany them, guiding them through alien worlds and communication networks. As the fleet approached the outer system, sensors detected signs of life. Small colonies burning but still resisting. The swarm had begun their harvest, consuming energy and resources, leaving destruction behind. Du-Hyun's voice was calm but determined. Deploy the assault teams. Target the swarm command centers first. Protect the survivors at all costs. The first planet was a desert world, its surface scarred with craters and ruins. The humans landed their forces, the ground trembling beneath their feet. The survivors led them through narrow valleys and collapsed cities where the swarm had left only devastation. Nari fired her pulse rifle at a scouting machine. Sparks flew as the alien technology fell. They learn quickly, she muttered. Every attack seems smarter than the last. Du-Hyun nodded. Then we fight smarter. Predict their moves, anticipate their tactics. Use their learning against them. The humans split into teams, clearing zones and protecting survivors. Explosions rocked the desert, dust and debris filling the air. The survivors watched as humans moved like a single organism, precise, coordinated, deadly. Hana guided them to a command hub buried beneath the sands. This is where they control the local swarm. Destroy it and we cut their coordination. Du-Hyun studied the structure. We storm the hub, plant charges, and collapse their network. They will not recover quickly. The assault was brutal. Machines emerged from the sand, claws tearing through rock, energy beams cutting paths through the battlefield. Humans fought without hesitation. Do-hyun swung a kinetic blade, cutting down one machine after another. Nari fired pulse rounds, each shot precise, each explosion strategic. Hana led the survivors to safety while Ji-won hacked into the alien network. Sparks flew as circuits overloaded. The hub trembled and the swarm faltered, their movements uncoordinated for the first time in months. Do-hyun planted the charges. All units fall back. Evacuate immediately. The explosions shook the planet's surface, crumbling the hub and severing the swarm's control network. Machines toppled, collided, and fell apart. For a moment, silence fell. The humans had won another battle, but the celebration was brief. Sensors detected new energy signatures approaching from the void, reinforcements from the hollow swarm, faster and more numerous than before. Gyeonsu's voice came over the comm. All units regroup. We cannot let them escape and regroup. Prepare for full engagement. Do-hyun looked at his team. This is what we are trained for. We fight not just to survive, but to save everyone who cannot fight for themselves. Get ready. As the swarm descended, the humans prepared for the next wave. The sky of the desert world ignited with energy blasts, explosions, and fire. Do-hyun and Nari led their teams through the battlefield, cutting paths, protecting survivors, and striking fear into the machines. Hana watched, her eyes wide with awe. They do not stop. They do not fear. They are unstoppable. Do-hyun shouted over the roar of battle. We are Deathworlders, and when someone calls for help, we will always answer. The humans' courage and precision turned the tide. Machines fell in droves, their adaptive systems unable to recover quickly. Every move the swarm made was countered. Every advance met resistance. Humanity's strength, willpower, and strategy combined with the survivors' knowledge to create a force no machine could match. By the time the sun set over the scarred desert, the swarm had been pushed back and survivors were secured. Do-hyun stood among the humans, surveying the battlefield. He was tired, wounded, but resolute. Humanity had saved more lives today, and though the war was far from over, their legend grew stronger. As ships lifted off into orbit, Do-hyun's eyes met Hana's. We will continue. We cannot stop until the swarm is defeated, and we will succeed because we fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. Hana nodded, hope shining in her pale eyes. I will follow you. Wherever you go, we will follow. Humans, you are incredible. Do-hyun looked at the stars ahead, knowing that even greater battles awaited. The galaxy was dark and full of danger, but Earth's Deathworlders were ready. They had been called to help, and they had answered with strength, courage, and the will to survive, and to protect everyone who needed them. The fleet moved through space, trailing streaks of light behind their engines. The survivors were quiet now, exhausted but alive. Do-hyun stood on the observation deck of the Hwarang, his eyes fixed on the void ahead. Somewhere out there, the hollow swarm waited, learning, growing stronger. But humanity would not wait. Humanity would strike first. Nari approached, her voice low. Captain, reports show multiple systems are still under attack. Entire colonies may be lost if we don't act. Do-hyun nodded. Then we act. Earth does not hesitate when someone calls for help. We fight, and we fight to win. That is what Deathworlders do. Hana and the survivors gathered around. We will guide you, she said. We know the swarm's patterns. We know where they hide. We can help you destroy them completely. Do-hyun's jaw tightened. Then we moved together. No one left behind, no system left in their control. The first target was a dense star system where the swarm had established multiple bases. The humans approached cautiously. Sensors detected energy spikes, but also signs of survivors trapped on planets and stations. Do-hyun made the call. We split. Strike at their command centers first. Rescue everyone we can. Every second counts. The ships descended toward the planets, spreading across the system like black arrows of war. Explosions lit up the void, as pulse beams and energy blasts tore through the swarm's defenses. The machines moved faster than before, but humans had learned from previous encounters. They anticipated movements, predicted attacks, and struck with precision. Do-hyun led a team onto the surface of the largest planet. The ground trembled under their feet as the swarm moved across the barren landscape. The survivors ran ahead, guiding humans through the safest paths. Nari fired her pulse rifle, cutting down machines that emerged from the dust, sparks flying with every impact. Jiwan hacked into the swarm's local network. "Captain, if we overload their command nodes simultaneously, we can cause a chain collapse across the system." Do-hyun nodded. "Then we do it. Everyone focus. Strike hard, strike together." The humans split into squads, moving through tunnels, forests of alien metal, and crumbling cities. Every step was a battle, every corner a risk. The swarm attacked relentlessly, but the humans never faltered. Their movements were coordinated, precise, and deadly. Hana guided them to the first command node, a massive structure buried beneath jagged cliffs. "This controls half their forces in the system," she explained. "Destroy it, and their coordination fails." Do-hyun planted the explosives, his hands steady despite the chaos around him. "All units fall back, evacuate immediately." The explosions shook the planet, collapsing tunnels, sending debris flying, and destroying the node. The swarm faltered, energy links failing, machines crashing into each other in confusion. For the first time, the humans felt the tide of victory, but the hollow swarm would not give up easily. From orbit, Jiwan's sensors detected massive reinforcements emerging from a nearby star. Thousands of machines, larger and more powerful than any they had faced, were converging on the planet. Gyeonsu's voice thundered through the comms. "All units, brace for final engagement. This is the decisive battle. No retreat, no surrender." Do-hyun turned to his squad. "This is what we are trained for. Every life we saved, every system we protect, it all comes down to this moment. We fight, and we fight to the last man standing." The battle erupted across the planet's surface. Machines struck with terrifying speed, claws and energy beams tearing through everything. But the humans moved faster, their strategy precise. Do-hyun and Nari led squads in flanking maneuvers, taking down the swarm's strongest units. Hana and the survivors provided critical intelligence, pointing out weak points, safe paths, and areas to trap the machines. Together, humans and survivors formed a force no swarm unit could overcome. Do-hyun spotted the central core, the largest and most dangerous of all swarm machines. Its energy pulsed like a star ready to explode. "We take it down," he shouted. "Now!" The team coordinated their assault. Pulse cannons fired, explosives detonated, and kinetic blades tore through armor plating. The core roared, energy crackling around it, but humans pressed on. Sparks flew, metal bent and twisted, and finally, with a final strike, the core exploded. A shockwave ripped across the planet, collapsing structures and disorienting the remaining machines. The swarm was shattered. Smaller units collapsed, unable to function without their central control. Humanity had won the decisive battle. On the shuttle deck, Hana looked at the humans with awe. You are more than I imagined. You fight not for glory, not for conquest, but to save. You are truly unstoppable." Do-hyun looked out at the stars. "We fight because we must. When someone calls for help, we answer. That is what makes humans strong. That is what makes us Deathworlders." The survivors were loaded onto shuttles, and the fleet prepared to move to the next system to continue rescue operations. But for the first time, hope shone in the galaxy. Systems that had been lost were free again, survivors saved, and the legend of Earth's Deathworlders grew stronger than ever. Nari placed a hand on Do-hyun's shoulder. "Captain, the battle is over. For now." Do-hyun shook his head, his eyes on the stars ahead. "No. The galaxy will always have threats, but humanity will always answer. We do not run. We do not hide. We fight, and we protect. That is who we are." Hana smiled. "I will tell everyone. I will tell them of the humans who came when we were helpless. They will remember." Do-hyun nodded. "They will remember, and next time, if darkness comes again, they will know Earth's Deathworlders will come." The fleet lifted off, leaving the barren planet behind, the survivors safe, and the swarm destroyed. The galaxy was scarred, but alive. Humanity had once again proven why they were feared, respected, and called upon in times of crisis. And as the stars stretched ahead, the Deathworlders moved forward, ready for whatever came next. The SOS had been answered. The galaxy had been reminded. Earth's warriors never ignore a call for help.